to everyone, and one for yourself as well at the end. For the next 2 minutes, just have a break while parents take their kids to preschool and creche. Have a chat to the people around you. We'll see you. Talk soon. If anyone would like a Bible for the Bible reading in a moment, please put your hand up and we can pass those around too, kids. Or if you haven't got a Kit Kat yet, stick your hand up. Sorry, I don't think they make gluten-free Kit Kats. Thanks, kids. Did you get one as well? And Flynn or Josiah, would one of you be able to stand at the back door for when parents come in from preschool or creche, just for a little while? Thanks, you. One other thing coming up, cue slide, thanks Mark, is Belair Tours. Now, for those that have new to the church and might not know what Belair Tours is, it's a group of people, part of our church, that can meet together for some Christian fellowship in a bit of a relaxed way. And it's an opportunity as well to get some people to mix and meet other Christians in some non-threatening environments outside of a church setting as well. So who's it for? It's for adults whose kids are probably in that era where they're grown up, maybe moved out of home, potential empty nesters that age. Some are retired, some aren't. I hear some murmurs, people that are maybe approaching the older stage of life. Now, not my words, I heard it from over here. And I guess the heart behind Belair Tours is to walk alongside people to build friendships, connect with folk as they walk together in life, sharing faith in Jesus. So if you want to know some more about Belair Tours, I encourage you to speak to Tony. Tony's over here. Give everyone a wave, Tony. And there's been lots of events so far this year, including picnicking at Cathedral Park and touring the cathedral, the Shark and Ray encounters and dining at Burruby Point, Tokau Field Day in the rain, lunch at the Cricketers Arms Hotel, and a tour of Miss Potter's historic house, and picnic lunches at the Turton's Place as well, which brings us to the next Belair Tours outing on Saturday the 25th of October. So that's touring the Hunter Valley Gardens for a garden tour, as well as a lunch at the Garden Terrace Cafe there. So that's Saturday the 25th. So leaving from the church here in the morning. And so if you want to know more about that, obviously speak to Tony to find out some more, or if you want to arrange transportation there, leaving here 9:30, and then the tours begin at 10:30 at the gardens. The last event for tourists for the year will be later in the early December with a Devonshire tea, light lunch, and a tour of Stanley Park Homestead at Fullerton Cove. So stay tuned for that. Again, ask Tony for more info on all of that. I'm going to invite Mia up now. Welcome. Today, one of our values is following Jesus matters. So welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you.
For those that don't know you, who are you? What is the primary thing you do in your Monday to Saturday life as well?
Well, hello, I'm Mia. I'm married to Matt, and we've got 2 kids, Cash, our son, who's 4, and Oddie, our daughter, who's 2. And we moved up to Newcastle from Sydney at about Christmas time last year. And I was just talking with Lina and her friend Jen, and they were giving me some Newcastle education about how to actually pronounce Toronto. So I was wondering, could you just, for anyone new-ish to Newcastle like me, could you please educate?
Well, I grew up around the Toronto area and went to Toronto Public. So you just drop as many syllables as possible and then, merge it all into one. Toronto.
And is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Perfect. I think Toronto's in Canada, so don't ask the GPS to direct you to Toronto.
Good, noted.
Toronto.
Thank you.
It'll be a long wait. How did you begin your journey of following Jesus?
So I grew up in a family who went to church and taught me about Jesus from a young age. So I feel like for me it's a hard question to pinpoint the answer to. But I think for me, when I was a teenager, I attended some conferences through church. I grew up in going to a vineyard church, and we went to Soul Survivor conferences every year. And those were really pivotal for my faith and for learning who Jesus was to me. Tangibly experiencing his who he is, and that he invites me into freedom and to life with him, and experiencing what that really meant for me as a teenager. So I think that was a really crucial time for me. For my journey with Jesus.
And in a couple of weeks' time, we're celebrating National Baptism Week together. And have you been baptised before?
I have been.
Yep. When was that? When did you get baptised? And why was that something that you decided to do?
So I was baptised at our church in Sydney, Northside Baptist Church in 2018, and it was something that I was prompted to do when we were becoming members, but it was something that I'd thought about doing often, but hadn't done, and it felt like a great moment to acknowledge Jesus as my Lord, and to acknowledge that I wanted to follow him all the days of my life, and to share that as an important decision to those around me, with the church community that I was part of. So
that's great.
Yeah.
What's the main difference that following Jesus has made in your day-to-day life?
So I'm a mum, but I also work 3 days a week as a speech pathologist for an organisation called Royal Far West, and we provide telecare, or one part of Royal Far West is providing telecare services for rural and remote kids in Australia. And so for 3 days of my week I get to work with kids who all the kids that I work with are living in and around Wagga Wagga, and I get to connect with them and care for them by providing speech services. And for me, I really feel Jesus at work. I feel like he's given me a heart to work with kids and to be with kids, and I delight and find so much joy in them. And so it feels like a real honour and privilege to get to connect with them in that setting and to be entrusted with their care in that way. And so I really feel like I just feel Jesus' presence and his heart for those kids in my work and in the joy and connection that I get to have with them. And then in my other days with my kids, I feel like, honestly, it's something that I'm learning to, like it's obviously a continual journey, but it's a particularly chaotic season, and I think it's something that I'm learning to how to engage with Jesus in those days. But I think particularly leaning on him for strength and peace and a lot of grace in those moments that can be really challenging, and of course so much joy, but feel sometimes particularly depleted or exhausted and tired. So I think really feeling his grace and presence in those moments. Yeah,
for sure. Thanks so much,
Pleasure.
Mia. I might pray now, and then, would you join me as we do that? God, thank you for Mia and this testimony we've heard. Thank you for, the way that you've shown her what it means to follow you. And the opportunities that she's had in life to be baptised, to find joy in serving you through work and through parenting. And God, we just pray as well for those that might also be considering baptism today, that you would prompt them to consider what it means for them to take that step of being baptised. Amen. Thanks, man. I'm going to invite Ashley up to do our Bible reading. Welcome, Ashley. Thank you.
Good morning. We have two passages this morning. The first is from Isaiah chapter 58, 13 to 14, from the NIV. If you keep your feet from breaking the Sabbath and from doing as you please on my holy day, if you call the Sabbath a delight and the Lord's holy day honourable, and if you honour it by not going your own way and not doing as you please or speaking idle words, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken, then you will find your joy in the Lord, and I will cause you to ride in triumph on the heights of the land and to feast on the inheritance of your father Jacob, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. The second passage is from Matthew chapter 11, and it's from the Message. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. Amen.
Thanks very much, Ashley. I might just grab that table to put my book on. Thanks. Thank you very much. I love how I grabbed that table. Thank you, Nathan. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm about to share a message with you on grace. Not on grace, on rest. Grace too. Rest. And I have to tell you, the irony of the fact that this message is on rest on a morning when we have all missed an hour's worth of sleep has not escaped me. Just saying. Additionally, if you are preparing a sermon on rest, I suggest you have a good night's sleep beforehand, because about midday, the first day I was working on this, I could not get past it and I had to take a nap. So there's a lot of word in this that may be moving with us, so that's okay. I also want to acknowledge, as we explore Sabbath and the gift of Sabbath and the idea of Sabbath, There are a lot of different ideas about what Sabbath should be. I mean, just on a theological level, you've got people who, whole denominations that have determined that Sabbath has to be practiced on a Saturday. Those are like the Seventh-day Adventists. And then there have also been Baptists that practice an Adventist Baptist, something like that. And then there's also, of course, the Jewish people who practice the Sabbath on Saturday. And then there are those who've said, so we shift it over to Sunday because that's the day when Jesus rose, so that's when we do Sabbath. And then there are those that claim that that's because of the celebration of what has happened. And then there are those that say, yeah, you don't have to do it at all. It's gone. It's Old Testament. We don't have to do it at all. So there are a lot of conflicting ideas about what needs to happen. Just saying. So what I'm going to do, and I'll let you know that this message today is less of a sermon and more of an overview of the resources that we have available on the QR code in front of you about Sabbath and practicing Sabbath and rest. Most of it comes from John Mark Comer's Practicing the Way and the Spiritual Discipline of Rest or Practicing Sabbath. So that's what most of this is. Now, I also will, I hope, be able to make this message a little interactive. Like, my goal is to ask you a couple questions now and then. If you answer the question, we just so happen to have Kit Kats here that you can earn yourself one of by answering a question. I'm sure someone can help me hand them out. Are you ready to answer a question sometime? Now, before the Kit Kat questions, I want to ask a couple of general questions. So who feels like they have a handle on Sabbath? Yeah, my hand's not up. It's only an example. And who feels a sense of anxiety about Sabbath? I sometimes do, to be honest with you. And who would like to take a nap right now? Yeah, I know, right? So at any rate, those are some of the things we'll be talking about this morning. Now, the four movements of Sabbath rest, as identified by Practicing the Way, are stop, rest, delight, and worship. And we're going to be following those four movements this morning and identifying what each of them are and thinking about them. And hopefully there's a message that's going to bring some insight into your life, maybe to encourage you in what you're already doing, or perhaps some illumination and challenge to maybe take up something different, or I don't know. My hope is that the Lord can speak to each and every one of us this morning. Let's have ears to hear what he has to say to each of us this morning. Now, the first movement of Sabbath rest is identified in Practicing the Way as stop. So, stop. Sabbath rest starts at the very beginning because God Sabbathed from his work. So here we have Genesis. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. And that word, on the seventh day he rested, those are all the word Shabbat, which is the word that creates Sabbath for us, right? And the word Shabbat means stop. It means cease, desist. It also has a sense of the experience of reaching a goal of crucial importance. So the Lord finished the creation and he reached a goal of crucial importance, kind of like completing a job, sitting back, looking at that job and going, So that's sort of what the feeling of the stop on the Sabbath is. And the Bible Project also says that the number 7 in scriptures has a sense of completeness to it. So that's what's meant to be happening on the Sabbath. And in one of the writings in the Sabbath practice, It's quoted from Abraham Joshua Heschel, who says that God didn't Sabbath because he was tired or worn out from all the creating he did. Rather, his act of stopping was an act of creation itself. God stops, and in doing so, he creates a rhythm of rest woven into the very fabric of creation. That explains a lot to me. That explains an awful lot to me. So we are created to experience a holy and healthy rest. It's the rhythm of creation. Now, I'm going to ask a question now. What would it look like to stop? What would it look like for you to stop? What do you think? Anybody? What's that? Sleep. All right, you get a Kit Kat. Sleep. That was easy. Stop might look like sleep. Absolutely. What would stop look like to you? Not working at your job. Absolutely. Ceasing from work. Kit Kat for you, Andrew. You can answer as many as you want. Keep your imagination going. You could be on a sugar high that could take you to mid-afternoon when you need to take your nap. Yes. No domestic work or maintenance on the home. That sounds like some good stopping. Absolutely. Those are that's good examples of stopping. Yes, sir, you came up with the stop. What is it? That's a good one. When you're running, you just stop. Excellent work there, matey. Yeah, you want to be my runner for me? Yep, excellent. I love how he volunteered for that. Thanks, Finn, for volunteering. So those are all different ways of stop. And I just want to ask you, what keeps you from stopping your rhythm day to day? And what might make us stop? And as we move on to the next item, to rest, this is where I fell asleep on Thursday, by the way, is when I started contemplating on this topic, rest right here, or where I, lost it, and I had to take a nap. So if you start to yawn or fall asleep now, I will understand. It's part of the reason I thought Kit Kats and sugar might help us. Anyway, the passage here that we're looking at is the passage from the Message. And I chose the Message passage very specifically because of how Eugene translated this paraphrase and what it communicates. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. One of the ideas of the practicing the way is that the whole concept of the different spiritual practices that they have in their training is that we become apprentices of Jesus. And in this passage, you have that walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. And I think that's such a beautiful statement. That's such a beautiful instruction to us, isn't it? If we want to know how to live our lives, well, let's keep our eyes on Jesus. And Jesus picks up on this, the glorious invitation that he has. In in the non-message version of this, it's come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. So it is an invitation from Jesus. Jesus himself invites us into rest. And when it comes to Sabbath rest, it is a choice to enter into a rhythm of rest. Because if we don't rest, frankly, there's negative consequences, aren't there? Because our health is going to suffer, our mental health, our physical health, our disciplines, everything like that. I've been eating a lot lately while I've been tired, stuff like that. But it's an invitation for all of us, and Jesus is with us. And here's some visual proof that rest is part of creation. I just thought that we needed visual proof right there. That's my cat, Rocket. He usually rockets around, but even he needs rest. Of course, cats sleep 80% of the time or something like that. And I just thought I'd throw that in. So when we're talking about rest, what would a good rest look like to you? Hopefully, Finn, you're going to need to run around for this now. And then you can stop afterwards, okay? So what would a good rest look like for you? Unbroken, uninterrupted sleep. That sounds, who would you like to get that instead of you? Hannah can have that instead of you. All right, what else? Okay, you've got one here in front and then two in behind. So yeah? Feeling refreshed. Anybody that raises their hands, go right to them, Finn. And yeah? Being able to turn your brain off from all those things that it occupies. Yes, sir. Ooh, very good. Setting aside your phone and other distractions. Because the phone can be a tremendous distraction, but there's other distractions too, aren't there? Loads of them. Anybody else? What would a good, excellent, Andrew, excellent? You don't want another. A disengagement of the world, a disengagement from the demands of the world. Who would you like to give your cat to? Rose. Good answer, Andrew. Yay, good answer. You can sit down now, Finn. Thanks very much. Yeah, a good rest. It comes in different ways for different ones of us, doesn't it? For me, that afternoon nap, I have to confess to you, that nap I had that afternoon when I couldn't keep my eyes open because I was studying rest, I'm not a very good napper. I just usually don't. But boy, I had a lovely rest that afternoon, and I think part of it was because I was dwelling on unhealthy, holy things, and it had been subliminally read to me so many different times by my studies. But I think it's important to relax, to curl up and cuddle. That's also a good rest, isn't it? Now, moving on to the next item, the third movement of God's gift of Sabbath, rest, is identified by practicing the way as delight. And delight is what we experience that produces a sense of joy and thanksgiving. And delight in and of itself is a happy, light, life-giving feeling. It is precious and wonderful. It is a gift. But the world, unplugging from the world does not naturally produce delight for us, does it? Tim Keller said, because the world is full of ugly things, we need the Sabbath to feed our soul with beauty. Ain't that the truth? The world has always had its uglinesses. Well, post-Eden, the world has always had its uglinesses. In his first letter, Peter talks about an enemy, our enemy, the devil, prowling around looking for people to devour. That's ugly. I had a conversation with my sister a couple weeks ago where she was lamenting, and my sister lives in the U.S., as you might guess, and she was talking about how ugly the world is getting and just how yucky it's getting, and how it's an increasing amount of ugliness, and how it wasn't like that. And I had to say to her, sis, I don't know if that's accurate. There has always been ugliness. There's always been wickedness and evil. But it is possible that our access through those devices is increasing to the point where we are overwhelmed with the ugliness, because, you know, these devices, they send us clickbait that entices, titillates, and frightens us. These are the things that are coming out. This is even the news is produced in a method and presented in a way to entice, titillate, or frighten us, because that's going to make us get involved in it, right? So we have to be so careful. It can be so overwhelming. But we fight that ugliness by stopping, by setting it aside, by resting, and by choosing to delight, to think about things that are true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, and praiseworthy, as Paul wrote in Philippians. To do things that are true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, and praiseworthy. The Lord speaks through Isaiah a clear affirmation of delight in the passage that we read today. If you call the Sabbath a delight, and then you will find your joy in the Lord. The whole thing is magnificent. It really creates a yes and no version of what Sabbath needs to look like. In fact, the entire passage, if you have a minute and you want to be challenged, read the entire passage of Isaiah 58. It's one of the, for me in my Christian walk, I can say it is one of the things that really clarified what I do and what I don't do, and what my attitude needs to be when I do the things of the Lord. So, what are some things that delight you? It's another opportunity, Finn, for you to get out of your seat. So, yeah. What are some things that delight you? Yes, sir. What are some things that delight you? Nintendo Switch. Delightful? Awesome. What else? Yes, sir. Worship. I like that answer, sir. I like that answer. Did you see up over here, Finn? Our worship man. Beautiful. What else delights you? Yes, Phil. Ooh. Lovely. That is a lovely answer. When you see your wife get out on a Sunday afternoon into the garden and just enjoy it. That is delightful, isn't it? Yes, sir. Back there, George. Yes. You want a Kit Kat? Well, you have to give me an answer before you get the Kit Kat. Watching good what? A good comedian. A good, clean comedian and having a good laugh. Absolutely. There are some amazingly funny people out there. Anything else? Yes, ma'am. Being in your garden in the sunshine. Beautiful. Here is a list of the 12 common activities in a traditional Sabbath. Now, these are from early Hebrew literature that Practicing the Way put together about Sabbath activities that were actually recommended for experience and delight. And I'm going to let you read that list, and you might find some components of that list standing out more than others. But this is the kind of activity that empowers that sense of delight and restores us. And it restores the soul. For myself, I would include in the list considering God's creation, the sea, the sky, the flowers, all of which for me encourage tremendous joy and delight. And the point here is to really consider what brings delight and joy to your being. And finally, we go right directly to worship. Is that good? Worship, the fourth movement of Sabbath as practicing the way identifies is worship. And worship points the focus clearly to our Creator God and invites us to do so in community. So we worship the Lord together in community. We can do it individually, or we can do it in small groups in our families. We can worship in our connect groups, but the point is to worship. Leviticus says there are 6 days when you may work, but the seventh day is a day of Sabbath rest, a day of sacred assembly. You are not to do any work wherever you live. It is a Sabbath to the Lord, a day to stop and rest and give attention to God. It is a day of worship. And worship is not just singing. Singing is a good way of worshiping. When we're saying words that talk about God, we're singing words that talk about God, and the music brings our emotions into it, and we're reflecting and contemplating who the Lord is. These are good things. But it's not the only way to worship. Worship is loving God. Loving God with our whole heart, mind, soul, and spirit, and it is surrendering to God and humbly trusting Him in faith and love. It is acknowledging who God is. It is delving into our relationship with God Himself and spending time there. And it is, as a matter of fact, is and always has been a gift from God. And making God the center of the day is actually a very, very important component of Sabbath. Because without the Lord being the center of the day or the center of that experience, it sort of becomes a selfish day. Self-centered, self-satisfying, or self-gratifying. Or just, what's that word I can't remember? Caring for yourself, setting aside time. There's a whole movement where it's setting time aside for yourself, which is not a bad thing. But it is different, isn't it? It is different than Sabbath, which is trusting God and worshiping Him. So let me ask you, what are some ways that you like to worship God, or that you think worshiping God can be done? I will tell you that one of my ways is to think on the things of Him and the beauty that I said before. Someone else can take that too if you want to. But what's a way for you to worship God? Over there, Renee. Yes, Renee? Reading His Word. Amen. Yes, Cecile. Glory, thanksgiving, thanking Him in prayer, thanking Him for all of His blessings. Amen. What's another way of worshiping God? Yes, Carol. Caring for His creation. Amen. Amen. Beautiful, right? What's that? Well, they might need you to share them over there. Singing praises to Him. Amen. That is worshiping God. It was Tony right there. Yes, Chris. Yeah, craft a prayer. Use your word smithing to create a prayer, crafting it for God. In fact, creating something is a good way of worshiping God. I personally am of the deep conviction that the that creation and being creative is meant to worship God. And the best creativity comes when we're focusing on the Lord, including creative dance. But I'm not going to do that. I do have a friend who spent many, many years learning ballet, and for her, and doing all different kinds of dance. And for her, actually being able to dance for the Lord is something that both blesses her and blesses others. So, in conclusion, these 4 movements: stop, rest, delight, and worship. The Practicing the Way has put together, these are meant to be an encouragement for us so that we can accept God's gift of the Sabbath rest. And I encourage you each to take advantage of the QR codes that are in front of you on the chairs and scan them. I've just given you an overview. It's just barely a scratching of the surface. But if you really want to learn some more about what Sabbath rest can look like for you and your family, or even for our church here, I highly, highly recommend looking at them. Now, if the idea of a day of Sabbath rest and planning it and putting all of these bits and pieces into order seems a little overwhelming to you, as it frankly does to me sometimes, I encourage you to read Eugene's translation again of what Jesus said. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. The band can come on up. And I encourage you also, if a whole day sounds overwhelming, start with little pieces. Start with a moment. Start with an hour. Start with something. Start with just a few hours and see what you can do with that and how the Lord will meet you there. Remember, God also says in the Word that if we seek Him, we will find Him when we seek Him with all our heart. And it also says in Proverbs, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. So the idea of rest, the idea of Sabbath, it's a gift from God. We can't do it in our own strength, but we do need to respond in a planning and purposeful way to what He has. And He will meet us there. Let me pray. Father, I thank you so much for your good gifts, that you are indeed a good, good Father, and that you generously pour out on us things that invite us into relationship with you, and things that make us healthier, like it's what you want for us, the healthiness of the soul. So thank you, and I pray that each of us can enter into rest with you. Lead us, guide us by the power of your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Lena. That was a awesome encouragement. Thank you. We wanted to finish with a reflective song. You may stand or you can sit if you'd like, but I want to ask you to do something a bit creative, and that is to imagine in your mind that quiet, still place where you are able to rest and slow down and push aside work and push aside the worries of the world and focus on God. Imagine that place, maybe as we sing this song together, and just receive from God. Feel free to sing, feel free to just pause and to reflect and to listen, whatever helps you to slow. In the quiet stillness I know you are God. In the secret of your presence I know there I am restored. When you call, I won't refuse. And each new day again I'll choose. There is no one else for me, none but Jesus, crucified to set me free. Now I live to bring him praise. In the chaos, in confusion, I know you are sovereign still. In the moment of my weakness, you give me grace to do your will. And when you call, I won't delay. This my soul through all my days. There is no one else for me, none but Jesus, crucified to set me free. Now I live to bring praise. All my delight is in you, Lord. All of my hope and all of my strength, all my delight is in you, Lord, forevermore. And all my delight is in you, Lord. All of my hope, all of my strength, and all my delight is in you, Lord, forevermore. There is no one else for me, none but Jesus, crucified to set me free. Now I live to bring him praise.
God, thank you for this reminder from Lina today on rest and Sabbath. And we just, we do ask and pray that today, especially, you will help us to rest, to take joy in resting in your presence, in delighting in you, and to find time throughout our days, throughout our weeks, no matter what we're doing, to rest in you, whether it is a busy season of life or not. God, please, prompt us, remind us each day about what it means to rest in you. Amen. Well, thank you all for being here today. We encourage you to enjoy some rest over a cup of tea or coffee out in the foyer. I'm sure there's plenty of left. Oh, I don't know about that. Flynn's handed out most of the Kit Kats, I think, but yeah. Enjoy joining us for morning tea. I'll be out at the Connect desk as well if you'd like to chat to me. If there's been something during the service today that you would like prayer for, or you want to meet with somebody to pray for something specific, I encourage you to head over to the prayer corner and spend some time praying with somebody. Thanks. Have a great week.